Good morning. I'd like to call to order the September 9th, 2021 meeting of the RTC Board of Commissioners, and I'll turn it over to you, MJ.
Thank you, Chairwoman and members of the Commission. Your first item is to conduct your first citizens participation period.
Thank you. This is the first time set aside for public comment. This time is limited to comments included on the agenda. Those wishing to speak on a posted agenda item, now is your opportunity. Please come forward to the microphone and provide your name and comment and state your name for the record if you have any comments. So if anyone has comments on an agenda item. If there's no public comments, then we'll move on to the next item.
Thank you. The next item is to approve the agenda.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I was just asking a question to the lady behind.
We have a second public comment period that I think is just a general comments. So if it's something on the agenda, then this is the time to speak.
I don't have a copy of the agenda to know where I would fit in that timeline.
Okay. Of course, you can also speak at the end. I'll give her a minute. We're good? Okay. MJ?
Thank you. The next item is to approve the agenda, and the agenda is in order ready for your approval.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, or anyone want to pull an item? Or can I have a motion to accept the agenda?
Motion for the agenda.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. And that motion carries.
Thank you, Chairwoman. The next item is to receive your CEO report. The first item in today's report is to recognize a mechanic from our contractor, Keolis. We have a brief video of Deputy CEO Francis Julian presenting the award to Keolis mechanic Calvin Gravely.
Thank you, MJ. Today we're actually honoring efficiency. So today we're going to honor a mechanic from Keolis called Calvin Gravely. Calvin actually comes from a really amazing place. He was a jackman for NASCAR. So talk about efficiency. He needed to change tires in a couple of seconds only. The reason we're honoring Calvin today is throughout his thought process and looking at all the work the mechanics are doing, he was able to reduce the diagnosis time of maintenance by about 25% for the mechanic over here at Keolis. So that's saving tons of hours each year and putting more buses on the road. And Kevin is actually studying right now for the electrification phase of the RTC. So he knows those buses are coming and started studying to make sure that we're ready, and he's ready to maintain all those electric and hydrogen fuel cell buses. So let's go and celebrate Kevin. Kelvin, how are you?
Francis, how you doing, sir?
I'm very good. Kelvin, I'm here to give you the Crystal Bus on behalf of the RTC Commission and NJ Maynard, our CEO, for all the great work you do, the efficiency that you brought, and the fact that you're studying for the electric buses already.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So proud of you. Known you for a while, but so happy to give you finally this honor.
Hi, my name is Calvin Gravely. Honored to have the award from the RTC and the Board of Commissioners. My Director of Maintenance, Alan Hayes. This is the highest honor I've received since I've been doing this line of work. I'd like to say my responsibilities are my motivation. My wife, Natasha, Montreal, Ebony, and Khalil, my children. Thank you.
And I think Calvin's here today, Francis, correct? Calvin?
Calvin, can you stand up? Thank you very much for your exceptional service to our community. Thank you.
And next up, I'd like to recognize our Superstars of the Quarter from 2020. And you might ask, from 2020? Well, we didn't get a chance during the pandemic to recognize our own RTC staff due to virtual meetings and safe social distancing practices. So today, I'm excited to recognize some really awesome employees. From the first quarter, I'd like to recognize our sales team. Although the majority of our employees had the opportunity to work from home, the sales team continued to work at the Bonneville Transit Center here in downtown Las Vegas. And during this time, they received a great amount of questions and comments from riders. They communicated with transit contractors on the customer pain points, and there were a few during the pandemic. With the closure of the other buildings, paratransit customers were redirected to the Bonneville Transit Center to the sales booth team who provided them with information and assisted them with their travel needs. And this is not an easy job, and so they are just exceptional employees, and we're really proud to acknowledge them.
Do we have some of them here? or
I'm
anything?
not sure, Francis, any of your team come?
think so.
They're busy working in the
Thank
booth.
you.
And our second superstar of the quarter was actually our entire IT department. Right off the bat, during the onset of the pandemic, our IT team spent countless hours and a great deal of effort to ensure our staff had the necessary tools to continue operations from alternate workstations. And they literally, within a week's time, had everybody set up and ready to go. They worked almost around the clock to make that happen. So again, an exceptional group of employees. Really proud to have them on the team. And from quarter two, our winners were Lisa G. from our finance department and Ellie Covarrubias from MPO. Lisa coordinated several submissions for winning grant opportunities. If there's money, she will find it and she will get it. And she did a great job. She helped participate in grants to raise awareness of human trafficking, study microtransit in low-income neighborhoods, and procure electric vehicles, totaling over $13 million in federal funding. She also stayed on top of all federal updates related to the CARES Act, and her diligent effort directly resulted in the RTC being the first transit agency within Region 9 to have all the CARES Act grant written and awarded. And we were actually contacted by FTA on behalf of Lisa G because we were the first to do that. So she's just an exceptional employee. And then Ellie went above and beyond and oriented a new consulting firm to RTC's purchase order and invoicing process. And that sounds kind of benign, but it's not. It was pretty complicated. She stayed late on many occasions to review and revise budget spreadsheets, and most recently took the initiative to translate several MPO documents to Spanish, resulting in cost savings for the agency. And again, an exceptional human being that we're lucky to have on staff. Moving along to quarter three, our superstars were Shane Wonder from the fleet and the transit amenities team. Shane took it upon himself to help us stay safe during the onset of the pandemic. He decided, hey, we've got some spare plexiglass. We can go ahead and start using those plexiglass dividers to install in offices in anticipation of employees coming back to work. He did that without being asked, just had a good idea and he made it happen. So he, again, a really exceptional employee. The transit amenities team, they worked extremely hard throughout the past year with multiple changes to our transit service in response to the pandemic. As you remember, we cut almost $9 million in transit service. They had to go out there and touch every bus stop to make sure the customers were aware of those changes. They installed more than 3,300 signs at every stop on the system. Throughout this period, the team also upgraded lighting at nearly 1,100 shelters across the valley and added 300 freestanding solar lights at stops that did not have a shelter to provide a safe place for the riders to wait. So again, really great people. And then finally, for quarter four, our winners were the entire vault team, and then Angela Brookins from Specialized Services. So the 4-member vault team, and that's important because we were short-staffed for almost the entire pandemic, they counted over 2 million pieces of currency just in that quarter. They processed over $350,000 in coins, over $300,000 in ticket vending machine revenue, and managed the cashier drops at the Bonneville Transit Center, all while being short-staffed. It's because of their hard work over that period that we were able to operate as efficiently as we did. And again, they just put their head down and worked really hard. Great employees. And then lastly, Angela divided her time between 2 departments. And again, she's another one. She smells the money. She's all over it, and she grabs it. And so she helped secure $4.1 million in FTA funding and $6 million in FHWA funding, all during a critical time of the pandemic. This superstar worked to transition the Veterans Medical Transportation Service model, moving the program from one contractor to an entire new comprehensive program, which she had to communicate with 800 clients in that month, and she did that. So congratulations to all of the employees. The RTC is the agency that it is, not because of us here at this table, but because of all the employees. They're just really great people. And for new developments, I'm happy to announce our partnership with the Las Vegas Clark County Library District to enhance our Transit Riders Guide. A special shout out to Commissioner Sagerblum, who really made this connection happen. Starting this month, transit riders will have free access to ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, movies, and much more through the Library District's Libby app, all while riding transit, and also all while sitting at any of our transit terminals. This partnership introduces new audiences to the educating, entertaining, and life-changing resources that the library offers every day, without having to physically go into a library and get a library card. We have been committed to accessibility for our customers, and this is just another way that we can help support our riders with tools to grow, learn, and enrich their lives. So we're extending an invite to all of you. I know some of you are able to attend. The press conference is next Thursday, September 16th at 9:30 a.m. at the East Las Vegas Library to learn more. So if you can make it, we'd love to have you there.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to hand it over to Deputy CEO Francis Julian. He's going to provide a snapshot of the state of the transit system.
Thank you, MJ. Good morning, Chairwoman and Commissioners. Francis Julian for the record. So usually we do a one-year look back. This time we're actually going to go a bit farther to compare our pre-COVID era to this past year. And once again, just wanted to mention the tremendous help we had from the federal government in all the extra fundings we had to make transit still possible in this valley. So first off, we'll look at our monthly non-strip ridership. So these are all the bus routes excluding the strip. As you can clearly see, we're starting to go up. In August, we actually reached for the first time in the pandemic 3 million riders. What's important to note, we're about at 75% of where we were pre-pandemic right now. If we compare ourselves to the rest of the US, the bus systems, they're still at about 50 to 60%. So we're well ahead of the curve. And when we fell back in March and April, just after COVID, we didn't fall as low as other communities. This obviously means that the transit system is really a lifeline for a community and all the essential workers. On-time performance, that's basically the measure to see if the bus is on time. So back before the pandemic, our system was operating at about 85%. Obviously, when ridership and especially traffic got dispersed during the pandemic, these numbers went way up. And as ridership and traffic started to increase, we can see, especially in the last month, on-time performance was really dipping. We were still running a Saturday schedule, so our schedules weren't matched for all the traffic, and you can see actually a little bump in August. That's the new service change where we're back on weekday schedule, so timing is actually accounting for that extra traffic, and we're actually exceeding the February 2020 numbers. Productivity. What is productivity in transit? It's basically the number of boardings for each hour that there's a bus on the road. So we used to be at around 38 boardings per revenue hour before the pandemic, and just like the rest of the metrics, we're really seeing a steady climb up. We're right now at 26 boardings per revenue hour. Once again, important to note, the RTC is the most efficient transit system in the US. So these numbers, even though they're low for us, are still dwarfing what can be seen even pre-COVID in the rest of the nation. Revenue by month. This is the farebox revenue. Same story here. Where obviously we went all the way down to almost zero. We had free backdoor boarding for quite a while during the pandemic, and obviously no revenue. The good news is now we're back almost to 75% of our pre-COVID era. So what did we learn in the pandemic, and what did we do? Obviously, we've came out with our 14-point safety plan, where obviously, hopefully one day the face covering will go away of what we're asking for the driver. But the vehicle cleaning was really amped up. We're going to still continue these practice. Using more high-capacity vehicles. We had more buses during the pandemic, so on some routes, you could see 2 buses back-to-back. It wasn't by mistake or because buses were late. It was actually by design to make sure people had room. We used to have signs for social distancing in the vehicle. We'll talk more later about contactless payment, but obviously that is a big-ticket item in what we did and push to make sure that there was as much use of the technology as possible. We've increased the driver enclosures, extended the driver enclosures as well. had data transparency, and obviously we did everything to have a healthy workforce. On the technology side, we were one of the first in the nation to introduce live passenger count. So on the app, our riders could actually see if a bus was crowded or not, and so they could make a decision if they wanted to wait for a bus that was less crowded or not. We installed ion air filters, so these filters actually kill germs and viruses, including the COVID-19 virus in the air. So it recycles the air 3 times a minute. And we've installed microbacterial shields. So these basically are transparent films on the high-touch surfaces. So if you're touching something in a bus, even if you have germs or viruses on your hand, it's actually going to neutralize those viruses. Now let's go to paratransit. So paratransit actually saw a bigger comeback than fixed route, as we can see in the ridership. We're back to about 80% of our ridership. And on-time performance, so on-time performance is the blue line. Once again, important to note that since August, we're back to our pre-COVID numbers. So there's a lot of variables, but obviously when ridership goes down on paratransit, on-time performance goes up, and the opposite as well. When ridership comes up, the on-time performance comes down. So technology use. We've made a lot of strides. So with our app, the Ride RTC, there was more than 460,000 downloads of the app. And of those 460,000, there was 21 million scans in our vehicle. So people paying with the app over 21 million times. And in the fiscal year, we actually sold over $7.3 million in passes. So these numbers obviously are increasing year over year, and especially with COVID, it just makes sense to use mobile devices to pay. We've introduced a new cash to mobile, so you can go in the valley to 300 convenience stores and actually load your RTC app by paying cash. So you pay cash at the convenience store, and they can actually load your credit on the app. So that's really a great feature for folks that are unbanked or don't have credit cards or debit cards. They still can use the app on the bus. And one thing we started a year ago with the transit app and Uber, and we just introduced it with Lyft this past spring, is on their app, customers can actually purchase passes. And over the course of the last year alone, we sold over $1 million of transit pass from people using the Uber or Lyft or transit app. So that's a great feature for our tourists when they're coming down. Instead of downloading our app or downloading a new app, they can go to an app that they already have on their phone and just ride our system. Paratransit Ride, the Ride on Demand program, so that's our Lyft, and for the accessible vehicle, the Tango cars. So we now have over 290 clients utilizing those service. Since 2018, there was almost over 90,000 rides taken. The average cost per ride is $19.75, so that's important to note. A paratransit cost is about $33 a ride. So this is really, it's convenient because it's same day, it's on demand, and on top of it, it's saving money to the agency. Now let's talk about about security, passenger and passenger assault. So we actually have good news. Even though ridership came down, we know from our peers that assaults actually came up nationwide because of mask mandate or different issues. We saw our passenger on operator assaults go down by 9.5%. So that's obviously each assault is one too many, but seeing those numbers go down is really a good thing. We hope that by extending the safety glass, that probably helped that number. And now for passenger on passenger assault, we saw actually a bigger trend. It went down by 15%. Once again, great news. Each assault is one too many, but in the past year, we actually saw an upward trend, so seeing a downward trend is good. It's probably not by accident. We invested over $21 million in safety and security. So from high-resolution cameras, so there's up to 12 high-resolution cameras on each bus. Our officers now they have body cam, they have beacons where they can be dispatched way more quickly than before, and we have a state-of-the-art command center at the BTC to supervise all those cameras. And that is my report, so I would be more than happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, questions, comments, feedback? It's nice to see the assault numbers going down. It's nice to see that service is increasing and that we have high-performing employees as well. So,
We do.
yeah, thank you.
There's a difference.
Yeah, many thanks to the marksmen.
Yeah,
Security officers, again, a really hard job, and they do a great job for us.
thank you. If there's no other comments or questions, we can move on to the next
Okay.
item.
And your next item is to receive the Nevada Department of Transportation Director's Report from Director Christine Swallow.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning, board members. As I do every time, I'm going to start with safety, and unfortunately, unlike the assaults on buses, safety numbers are up, or fatality numbers are up, I should say. They continue to be up this year to date. Through August, they're 26% higher, with 243 lives lost on our roadways across the state overall.
Wow.
142 of those have been in Clark County. That is 27 more than last year at this time. I was trying to figure out, what does 27 look like? What's that? There's 20 of us sitting here behind the plexiglass. So 27 more have lost their lives this year in Clark County alone on the roads, and they didn't need to. So I'm going to talk about a crash, and that happened. So in August, a 28-year-old driver suspected of DUI and speeding crashed into the back of the disabled car that you can see on the slide here, killing one of its passengers. The driver, who was suspected of DUI and speeding, was driving a silver Lexus on the westbound off-ramp of I-15 South. At the same time, the stalled BMW was also on the off-ramp. The passenger of the BMW was outside of the car, pushing the disabled car out of the roadway when she was struck by the Lexus. The victim died after being transported to UMC Trauma, where she succumbed to blunt force injuries sustained in the crash. And the driver of the Lexus is facing charges of speeding and DUI, resulting in death. As I've been saying, impairment and speeding are the leading causes. But I also wanted to just talk about something that is a little more personal. Nothing happened, but yesterday, you guys all know I ride the bus, right? Yesterday I rode the bus home. Often I don't ride the bus home in Vegas, I carpool home, but yesterday I rode the bus home. I got off the bus. We have a rectangular rapid flashing beacon at my crosswalk, so I pushed the button, and the westbound traffic didn't stop. Probably, I wasn't in the car, but probably because the sun was impairing their ability to see the flashing beacon. And so I just want to remind, eastbound traffic stop, no problem. Just want to remind everyone, if you can't see the signs, if you can't see what's in front of you, if you can't see necessarily clearly the car in front of you, slow down. It's, we'd much rather, might cause a rear end collision, but much rather that than hitting somebody on the road. I cross the road fine. But just a reminder, if you can't see, because so often when we say, well, you can't see and the sun's changing right now, we're heading into fall, if you can't see, slow down. It's okay. You'll get there still. It might be 30 seconds later. So, all right, sustainable funding study update. I mentioned this, MJ's mentioned this, and we launched it in July. NDOT's working on it with our advisory group of 29 team members. At the last meeting, which was in August, the AWG members received an overview of the transportation revenue sources and uses in Nevada, RTC, Washoe RTC Southern Nevada, CAMPO, that's the Carson Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, and Tahoe Regional Planning Association, TRPA, and NDOT all gave presentations on our transportation funding challenges. And we certainly, very well, the challenges we have here in Southern Nevada and across the state. The Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and Governor's Office of Energy also provided overviews of statewide policies, laws, and goals related to energy policy and reducing carbon emissions, because a large part of our challenge is what happens with EVs. How do we fund the system with EVs? So on Tuesday, we'll be meeting again, and I should note that these are public meetings. We televise them, and there are opportunities for public comment at the beginning, at the end, just like these meetings. So they are public. If you want to join us, or if you want to let us know behind the scenes, you have number of people that you can talk to on that. On Tuesday, we will have a brief presentation on the impact of electrification as Nevada transitions to zero-emission vehicles. So we're going to have a presentation on that. And we're going to have a more in-depth discussion of transportation revenue in Nevada and across the United States, including the gas tax, as well as developing some guiding principles for consideration of alternative sources. So as we start looking at how are we going to make this revenue sustainable, what are those policies, what are those priorities we have to compare different models against each other? So we're going to be looking at those guiding principles. As a reminder, our report is due to the legislature December of next year. We're hoping to finish our work much earlier than that, so if there are any legislative recommendations, there's plenty of opportunity for legislators to advance those priorities. So working on it, interested in your thoughts and feedback. I'm sure MJ is keeping you apprised of the discussions, but if you feel you want to chat with us directly, please don't hesitate. Last month, we spoke about the annual work program. It's going to be before the State Transportation Board on Monday. They'll be voting on that. And so I just wanted to let everyone know we had a 10-day public comment period in August. We received no comments. So the STIP and the work program, as available online, are going to be at the board for approval on Monday. And just as a refresher, the work program is composed of 3 elements. It has the current fiscal year projects to include our betterment and rehabilitation projects that are completed by state forces, but it's the overall project and program for the year. It also includes our short-range element, which is projects that we and the local entities want to initiate within the next 2 to 4 years, as well as the long-range element. We are continuing to advance our One Nevada Transportation Plan to make sure that we are making these decisions based on data and performance-driven. So working on that we're in September. In October, I'll bring back an overall overview of what was board approved, so you'll see how that lays out across the state. And then I think this is actually my last slide. We want to hear from you. I think I've said that like 10 times today already, but we certainly want to hear from you. We're seeking public input on the future I-11 corridor through the valley. The goal is to figure out how do we get from the Henderson interchange to I-11 US 93 near Kyle Canyon. So how do we get across the valley? There are currently 2 corridors in consideration. One generally follows 95 through the downtown area of town. The other one generally follows the 215 around the south and the west. We've been having public meetings this past month, and we have 2 more this coming week. On Tuesday the 14th, there will be one at the RTC from 4 to 7. And then on Thursday the 16th, we'll have a meeting at the Windmill Library from 2:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon. For those who can't attend an in-person meeting, we have an online public meeting and public comment period that will run through the end of the month. And that meeting can be found on the project website here on the slide, i11nv.com. The public outreach also did include a bilingual telephone town hall. And we encourage the public to attend to learn more, or go online to learn more about the corridor through the valley and help us pick the one that makes most sense for our community and our growing needs. Just in general, the I-11 corridor generally starts at the country line, at the country border, Mexico to the United States, down in Arizona, and is intended to go as far north as we can get it. We definitely have it all the way through Reno, and we haven't yet selected the further extension of that, but it is really to help promote trade across our communities and find other viable corridors. We also think that it will be significant in improving economic development opportunities into our community as well as across the state. And that concludes my presentation.
Commissioners, questions? Comments?
Sure.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you, Director Shaw, for your presentation. Obviously, the DOI numbers continue to be unfortunate. Understanding that NDOT doesn't run the highway patrol, I was confused this last week with the DOI strike team going away. So can you comment on why that is, given where we are on DOIs and what happens from going here?
Unfortunately, I can't comment on that. I think that funding source is through the Office of Traffic Safety, not through NDOT. Also disappointed in that decision, but recognize that we all are having significant funding and resource challenges, and understand where they have to make hard decisions.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Ms. Director. Again, I was also kind of appalled with the safety issues, though. Although I'm a big advocate of those flashing signs, because I think they're really helping in North Las Vegas and along the eastern corridor that where we share with North Las Vegas into Las Vegas. I'm very happy that they're there. But I have just a simple question. I'm really looking forward to I-11 coming through. Does it also mean that the portion of our state routes here that go between Las Vegas and Reno will actually now maybe have a 4-lane road instead of a 2-lane road?
So, great question. Yes, from 90 to interstate, to make a corridor an interstate requires it's divided at least 4 lanes and other conditions as well, shoulder widths, et cetera. So at some future date, we may end up having a 4-lane divided interstate between Reno and Las Vegas. And if you heard me say that, at some future date, we are annually underfunded by almost the same amount of our funding. So $500 million is our shortfall on an annual basis. And right now, as you know, I hear it from you all the time. We need more projects here. I hear it from Washoe. We need more projects there. And we will need to figure that out. I envision that how that will roll out is if we don't get dedicated funding for that from the federal government, which we may, but if we don't, that will likely look similar to what Arizona has done on their corridor between here and Phoenix, where they slowly, methodically added passing lanes, and then as the volumes or safety criteria warranted it, they divided it. It is not an interstate along that corridor either, but they've slowly widened it to meet the needs of their growing community and the growing transit. So at some point in the future, it may be a fully divided 4-lane road. At this point, right now, we're just focused on meeting our safety targets.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to point out, for someone who does quite a bit of traveling, for anybody else who remembers this, it used to be that little stretch of highway between here and Phoenix, when you went through Wickiup and all that little stretch used to be called the Widowmaker. Mm-hmm. And the Arizona Department of Transportation, I don't know if you remember, they used to put up little white crosses. Mm-hmm. You'd see like two or three little white crosses here where there was an accident and fatalities, and you'd see a cluster of crosses where there's like a treacherous curve. And as far as I know, that's been cut down drastically. So I'm looking forward. And if you'd be so kind as, I don't care if I'm 80 years old, please make sure I get invited to the ribbon cutting for the interstate between here and Reno. Well, I have to drive sometimes because now I have my doggies, so I don't fly to go see my grandkids. I drive a lot more. So
if I'm still around when that happens, I will certainly make sure to extend the invitation.
You are like the mayor. You're going to be timeless too. A timeless classic.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I did have one question for you, Director. Just wanted to get an update on the Tropicana interchange. That's an important interchange, obviously, for the arenas that we have and for the increasing traffic that's occurring around the Strip. And could you give us an update on that?
Yes, thank you for your question. So we are planning on delivering the project as a design-build project. We started the request for qualifications for design-build teams last fall. The RFP, request for proposals, went out earlier this year, and proposals were submitted, I believe, in June. We announced our notice of intent to award in early August. At our board meeting on Monday, we will be going through the process of who we've selected to negotiate with, so we'll be giving them that information. And then at the October meeting, we intend to award, provided we can get through the negotiation process with the preferred bidder. So that is the process, and we're looking forward to delivering the project. I know how needed it is.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Chairman. Excuse me. The next item is to approve your consent agenda consisting of items 5 through 40 and can be taken in one motion.
Any questions or comments? Otherwise, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion approved.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. And that motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman. And your next item, Agenda 41, we do not have any legal items to discuss this month, so we can move on to your last agenda item, and that is to conduct your last citizens participation period.
Okay, thank you. This is the second time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak to the board, now is your opportunity. Please come forward to the microphone to provide your comments and state your name for the record. I have a number of cards here, so we'll go through them. And for those that maybe need an accommodation, let's make sure that they have a mobile microphone. First is Anthony Holloway.
Morning, everyone. My name is Tony Holloway. I'm a
Could you
paratransit
direct
driver
could you
here in
direct
Vegas.
your comments to this
Oh,
microphone?
I'm sorry. Right
Thank
here.
you.
My name is Tony Holloway. I'm a paratransit driver here in Vegas. Been doing this for almost 6 years. And I came in here today specifically to let everyone know we have a serious issue here in Las Vegas. And I hope that my comments will address this so it don't become a national issue. We have customers who are considered DNLU passengers or customers who we take around this city. Most of them are impaired, disabled, whatever. And one of the issues we have is that they tell us don't leave them unattended. Well, unfortunately, that is not the case. And I had an issue the other day where I was told and I had requested to have the customer come out to the bus because I had one of the customers on the bus, but they told me where you could see the bus. That doesn't prevent the passenger or customer to get off that bus through the passenger door, and God forbid whatever happens after that. We don't need that. We don't want that. And the best way to resolve it is scheduling. If we have a customer that's a DNLU, take them straight home. I don't care where they live. For example, they live in Boulder City, take them straight home to minimize the risk. As a driver, I don't want nothing to go wrong. Neither do you or anyone else in this room as a paratransit driver. But unfortunately, that is the case. Some of them will stand on these buses 2 and 3 hours, which is not necessary because it doesn't take 2 to 3 hours to drive around Las Vegas. But at the same time, I came here personally to let you guys know we need to address it and fix it. Because God forbid something happens, we're not going to hear it in Vegas, we're going to hear it around the whole country. And it can't be prevented. And it's very simple. Take them straight home. And that way we won't have an incident or we won't have an issue. And hopefully that will resolve it because some of them are in a wheelchair, blind, whatever the case may be. Some people think they're mild and meek, but that's not always the case. If a regular customer gets on our bus and one of these DNLUs starts acting up, they're going to get intimidated, they're going to get scared, and they're going to complain. But we can prevent that. And with all due respect to everyone in this room, I hope you listen to me because I've been doing it for 6 years. And hopefully we'll take this into account. Thank you.
Thank you. No, please, no applause. Please, no applause. Thank you. Next is Cornelius Boyd, the second.
Good morning to you all. My
State
name
your
is
name for
Cornelius.
the record. Yeah,
Say that again?
just state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Cornelius Boyd II. I could be long-winded, so I'm going to sum this up real as much as I possibly can so that you all know who you all are listening to. My name is Cornelius Boyd II, and I actually was currently in an accident with a semi-truck, a parked semi-truck, head-on collision on August 14th. By the grace of God and His will, he saw fit that it wasn't time for me to go. I had no injuries at all, but it's due to the constant being forced. I've been forced as a driver. I'm no longer with you all, but I've been forced as a driver ever since March. 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours, sometimes 13. But the issue that I see that is really the problem, because I've witnessed multiple other drivers also being in that revolving chair of getting injured on different terms and so on and so forth. Yes, it is our responsibility to get the necessary sleep and do the necessary things that it is to take to be done in order for us to be able to perform our jobs at an efficient rate. However, if you're being worked those type of hours on a consistent basis, your mental, in terms of your mental, you have your personal life that you also have to deal with when you get off work. So being that you're being forced those 10 to 12, 13 hours, that's already, everybody gets 24 hours in a day. That's more than half. So then you have to mentally be able to prepare yourself, and then you have your personal life on the outside. I have 2 children and a wife, along with other things that are my responsibilities. So with that being said, and I'm pretty sure others here as well, that's a huge issue. They say that they're doing rotations. I don't see how you're doing rotations if the same people are going out doing the same hours on a constant basis. On top of that, like he addressed the DNLU situation, I'm one in agreement with that. That absolutely needs to be acknowledged. That needs to be taken care of and handled however way it needs to be done. I understand ridership is high and so on and so forth. But the thing is, there needs to be way more drivers out there. Way more drivers out there. I understand we just went through, we're going through this current plague that the Lord has put into the earth. But the thing is that we're all a team. Whether people want to agree with it or not, we're all a team. If you look at the body, you have hands, feet, arms, so on and so forth. I noticed that a lot of people are not working as a team in terms of in the company due to the fact of a lot of things that's going on, and it seems like it's like little cliques, if you get what I'm saying. But a lot of things need to be addressed. Like I said, I could be long-winded, but we only have as much time as given to us. But I pray that you all will take that into consideration and accountability.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you. Please hold the applause. Please hold the. I know you want to keep applauding, but please hold the applause. This is a public comment period. Thank you. Colleen Madden. Please
Good
state your
morning,
name.
Chair and Board. My name is Colleen Madden, and my concerns are passengers incapable of wearing a mask and social distancing. I heard you mention the plexiglass around the drivers on the fixed route buses, but we don't have the luxury of having that in our buses. We have people who rip their mask off and will drool on themselves. I do the best I can to clean up in between rides, but our other passengers are being scared to get on the bus with those passengers. And sometimes I'll pick up, 4 DNLUs all at the same time. And these people get in here from dialysis or chemotherapy or whatever the case may be, and they're scared. And they're asking questions. Then you have the other kind that don't want to wear a mask. They don't think they have to, but then I'll have an issue with that, but then I'll watch them get off the bus, put their mask on to go into their doctor's appointment. So obviously they are capable of wearing a mask, and I've tried to address that, but we don't really have the authority to say anything because we have a sign that says no mask, no ride. But how do I enforce that? I'm told to take them. We can't refuse a ride. So I'm doing the best I can to keep peace on the bus between the passengers and make sure that everybody is safe. But at certain points, I'll get into the bus in the morning and there's tissues on the ground, a piece of gum, something like that. I thought these buses were supposed to be sanitized every night. That obviously isn't the case, and I have multiple pictures to document a lot of that. And I know that we're having short staffing issues with every facet of the thing going on right now, but I mean, I'm sure that we could figure out how to wipe out a bus as quickly as possible, make sure there's no debris like gum and, stuff that's touched people's mouths. We don't need that. Also, people being on the bus for 3 hours at a time. I had a girl that was nonverbal, DNLU, whose mother had a tracker on her, and she tracked me all over town for 3 hours. Told me everywhere I'd been. She was almost tempted to meet the bus to take the DNLU off. But luckily, I was able to find her, even though I was missing a building number. So we do a lot of searching for needles in the haystack. I'm getting pretty good at it, actually. But anyways, I want to make sure that my riders are safe, that people from chemo and dialysis are being taken care of and not being late to where they're being. We're all here to work together. I just want to do that at the best of my ability. I'm here as much as possible. All right, thank you so much for hearing my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Madden. And next, we have Barbara Battle.
Good morning, my name is Barbara
Would you
Battle.
step over to the microphone?
Good morning, Chair, good morning.
Could you step over to the microphone?
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Barbara Battle, and I've worked as a paratransit driver for 4 years now. I'm here today because I have concerns that I'd like to express to you. I too am struggling to keep up with such a hectic schedule and routes. Since January, around the first of the year, I've been getting forced into work 5 to 6 days a week, 11 hours a day. I'm told it's because we're short-staffed on drivers. I consider myself a team player, and I'm not here to complain about the long hours, the extra days I'm working, because I don't mind the extra hours to make sure that the clients are being taken care of and to help out. The problem with working too many hours and too many days a week is that sometimes you're driving fatigued, nonstop, and even unsafe at times. As a result of this, the clients are suffering. They're receiving less than acceptable service and treatment. We're not picking up clients. We are picking up clients late, if at all, and not honoring their appointment times. Some of our clients have waited weeks or months to get these doctor's appointments due to the backlogs in the pandemic. We're dropping them off late, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, resulting in basically wasted trips, not to mention the cancellation fees that sometimes apply. If they can't get to their doctor's appointments, they can't get their prescriptions filled, and they need their medication to maintain their health and their well-being. Not to mention dialysis clients and our clients that are receiving chemotherapy. We're not getting them into their appointments on time. That's not acceptable or even an option for these folks. The dialysis appointments are a set chair time. When we drop a client off an hour late for their appointment, this results in a shorter treatment and or they aren't done at the scheduled pickup time. This sometimes results in them getting left and issued a no-show. The client should not be penalized because we aren't able to drop them off on time. Not to mention that they are left waiting for an hour to 2 hours sometimes. After going through dialysis, they're sitting in a lobby waiting for another bus. The chemo patients are the same. They need to be dropped off on time in order to receive their full treatments. These are just a couple of examples of the clients that are suffering with the service right now. There are many other clients as well sitting on our buses, packed full, and extended riding hours, sometimes past 3 hours. We all know it's a shared ride, but come on, we can do better. This job means a lot to me. It's more than a paycheck. I'm here for the clients today. I'm hurting for these folks, and they're not being taken care of like they should be. We need more drivers. We need to see changes made. They need our service, and they depend on us. So I'm asking for your help. I want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Marla Smolitar.
Hi, my name is Marley Smolitar, and I've been riding paratransit for 10 plus years. And there's always been issues with paratransit, some of the drivers not obeying the speed limits, the rules of the road, how they treat their passengers. But in the last probably year and a half, it's really gotten bad. And I think part of the problem is the fact that there's such a turnover with the drivers that the drivers are not being trained properly. It's like they get taught how to work the little system that they have to use and how to load, but they're not taught customer care. One of the things a lot of the drivers don't realize is that the people that ride paratransit are not on there because they want to be. It's their only mode of transportation. They have Lyft available for paratransit users to use. However, it's very limited as to who's allowed to use it. You're saying that right now we're at 80% with ridership again. What happens when we get to 100%? Lyft, you say Lyft saves you money with riding versus the paratransit ride. Why not make that a little bit more available for some of the users? Social distancing. Yesterday, I was on a bus. that was totally packed, and another person came on, and the driver told someone else to move over. They needed to put this person on. This is someone's not in their household. This person, you don't know if that person next to him is sick. There is zero social distancing on the paratransit buses at this time. I feel that's putting my safety at risk, the drivers, air conditioning. It's terrible lately with the buses. And one of the main things I think for us as riders, if you offer lift to more of your paratransit riders, it would free up more buses and would take care of the problem with the employees that you have right now. Speeding. Yesterday, my paratransit driver, 80 miles an hour going down the 95. I have a Waze app on my phone. I tested it to make sure it's correct because of my husband's driving. It was 80 miles an hour in a 55-mile zone. I mentioned it to the driver, and the attitude it's like, that's my safety, it's my life. I use that to transport me, my grandson. It's how I get where I need to go. And I don't feel like it's right for the people, the drivers, to treat us as second-class citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Gina McDade.
Good morning. My name is Gina McDade. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm here before you today to express my concerns, my fears, my frustrations, and my hopes regarding the transportation issues that currently affect our disabled community. While I'm expressing my own perspectives, I've been asked to represent families who couldn't be here today to their work and the issues that they have to take care of their families. This is an effort to reach out to you for support and positive change. I'm the parent of Kenny. He's my 30-year-old son. He has cerebral palsy, and he has a behavioral disorder. We've been using RTC paratransit, MV, and MTM services for the past 10 years. I've spent the majority of my son's life navigating the many transportation issues that we experience, simply trying to get him from point A to point B. And while it's never been easy, it has never been as hard, frustrating, and dangerous as it has been over this past year. I've had the opportunity over the past few weeks to speak with many families who are experiencing the same issues I am. However, I learned that some families are experiencing dangerous and neglectful situations with their children. This absolutely cannot happen. I've brought these issues with me today to speak with you, hopefully to enlighten you to these issues, share our concerns and fears, and ask you to please help us so that we can have our faith in your services and your staff. I have bullet points. Intake and scheduling. Waiting on the phone for hours to speak to someone. Intake personnel don't know how to navigate the system and don't document discussions for further reference. When we call back for follow-up, we have to repeat our situation, often multiple times. Because the original intake person never did document any part of our prior conversation, we keep getting transferred to different people who are often the wrong people. Poor to zero assistance with recovery of information regarding qualifications and or certification status. My question here is, why don't certifications come with authorization numbers for faster verification? Dealing with intake personnel who have little patience on the phone and are very rude. No ability to register a complaint, and if we can find somebody to register the complaint to, we're hung up on. Parents and caregivers, what we're dealing with. Clients spending unrealistic amounts of time on the bus, prompting agitation and behaviors that the drivers aren't prepared to deal with and that they're grossly undertrained for. Families being forced to take rides at extremely early morning times that don't align with their actual site opening. These buses are often sitting at the site for upwards of 2 hours waiting for the doors to open. What happens if the client needs to use a restroom? What if there's an accident? What happens if they have a seizure? What happens if they have a behavior? Having MTM tell you that they have set up one-to-one transportation because the client's inability to tolerate being on a vehicle for a long period of time, having a rideshare show up filled with senior citizens, hoping your child gets to the destination without incident because you have to go to work and the ride is late, getting a call that the client had a behavior and now is no longer to ride on that transportation service. When you ask dispatch why the van showed up full of people, when you arrange for a single rider transport, and dispatch has the nerve to tell you that they did not offer you such a one-on-one transportation situation. establishing that the client could always sit in the back seat because they like to play with knobs and windows, and then having the driver make the decision. Please allow me to finish.
Do you have, are your comments
has-
over? We've allowed you.
Takes it upon themselves to move the client to the front seat, and havoc ensues. Being told by MTM that they can only pick up if they drop off. They offer no one-way rides. Parents and caregivers have no voice. They're at the mercy of the system that's not working. Drivers. Many of the drivers are rude, hostile, and dismissive. Many have instances where drivers simply close the door mid-sentence and drive away. Have them defiantly state that they're not going to follow the requested parking lot navigation for pickup and drop-off. Have them refuse to help their disabled passengers with their backpacks, or even help them to transition safely off of the bus. Zero safeguards for our loved ones. Drivers don't let anyone get on the bus to help because they say that it is a liability, but drivers also won't help, saying it ain't my job.
Thank you. Ms. McDade, could you provide your comments for our record? You could submit.
Absolutely,
all
I'll
of your
give you
comments.
this copy, but
Okay, we'll go
please,
ahead.
if I can finish.
How long do you need?
Just not much. These driver negligence. Nonverbal and cognitively impaired individual dropped off behind Caring Hands Adult Day Service at 6:15. Nobody was on the premises. The doors don't open until 7:30.
Thank you.
The driver dropped the individual and drove away. That happened 4 weeks ago.
Can you conclude?
This is all I have left to say. I'll say it as fast as I can.
If you could just provide that for our record.
But I would like everyone to hear it because it's important. It's important.
But each person is
I
allowed
understand,
3 minutes.
but it's important, okay? It's
It is
important.
Yes. Okay.
Driver support, zero training on working and supporting with speaking and helping individual disabled persons. Zero procedural reinforcement, no manager support. Our drivers need to have full support of their managers. Drivers are jaded due to the lack of training, being understaffed, being overworked, and requesting cancel time off is being canceled on them. Drivers are frustrated. Haven't had safety manager for 3 to 4 months, recently we were told. No training on how to support individuals with disabilities. Lack of supervisor support to sites. Supervisors are not checking in with the sites to see what's happening, to see what they need. There's no real-time manifests. And the director at Caring Hand Adult Day Services has asked for sensitivity training for a long time and has not received it. I'll wrap this up.
Thank you.
In all of my years in dealing with RTC's paratransit, MV, and MTM, I've never experienced this level of complete disregard for the care and safety of our loved ones. Our current system is so broken, it is nearly irrevocably unable to be repaired. It appears that you've either forgotten or simply don't care what working with a fragile population requires and what it means.
Thank you.
We have enough to do every single day to navigate life with a loved one who has a disability. We have
Thank you.
jobs
Would
to
you
get to
provide
in
your
order to
comments
support our
to our
families,
staff?
just as you do.
Angela, would you collect
We
your
must have
comments?
responsible
Thank
providers. We must have the option for our transportation needs. Who do we turn to when it is a complete disarray? Our drivers need the full support of their supervisors. They need training on how to work with disabled individuals for the safety of the individual as much as for their own safety. When is it going to happen? How will we be assured that it even will? MTM and MV transportation is a complete mess. Please tell us how you're going to fix that.
Thank you.
We shouldn't have to pray for the good graces of an occasional conscientious driver to use common sense when transporting on kids. We need and we must have interactions and attentive, responsible, caring personnel who fully understand the needs of our clients and our families. We deserve this at the very least. We shouldn't have to live in fear over our children and how they're treated.
We've
Please,
allowed
RTC
each
needs to
person
be
3
doing a
minutes.
far
We've
better
probably
job than they
given you
are.
close to 8 minutes. So what I'd like to ask is that you submit your comments for the record, and I promise you that we care about this issue and that we will be looking into it with our team. And we recognize that we do have a problem with driver shortage, which impacts a lot of things. And the COVID virus has certainly impacted the delivery of service, and we recognize that, and we will seek solutions with you.
Well, I certainly do hope that you hear us.
Thank you. We are. Thank you. Next is Eric Hupp.
Good morning, Chair and board members. My name is Eric Hupp. My concerns are obviously many, but there are several that need brought brought to light here today. First is our absolute inability to provide the level of service your clients are promised and deserve. An example, when my route me show at 6:45, leave the yard at 7, and my first pickup is scheduled before then, how can I be on time? When I have multiple pickups at the same time at different locations as much as 10 minutes apart, how can I be on time? When a driver shows up 30 minutes or more late to pick up a dialysis patient and then takes them around as we are a shared ride service to pick and drop others, and we drop them off 2 or 3 hours late, how can we be on time and how can we guarantee their health and safety? How then is it possible to provide a safe and timely service? I have come to know that not only is the work I do vital and an awesome responsibility, but my job is an amazing privilege, the ability to spend 10 plus hours a day serving my community and caring for those in need. I earnestly submit to you that drastic measures must be taken on behalf of our clients and passengers immediately, now, not 3 months from now, not at the end of 2022, but now, before late drop-offs become worse, injuries become hospitalizations, and or deceased passengers. We all know that forced work is dangerous for the public and passengers. And lastly, as drivers, the concern is not so much as drivers, it's for your passengers. I have taken my own time to encourage many of the staff, passengers, and caregivers that are here today and hope that their needs and concerns are also heard and something is done to help us to better serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shelley Jones?
Oh, okay. My name is Shelley Jones. I've been a rider since 1993 when it was EOB, before paratransit took over. And I have to say a lot of drivers are very great. I would say at least 98%. The 2% are not so great. However, with the additional ride of Tango is wonderful. I think that's the best program you guys have added, and it should be an unlimited ride where people have to pay for their rides as well. I don't think RTC should have to pay for all of it, or a portion, at least half of it. I think that is fair. As far as the drivers, I agree with the last driver that spoke. I've had numerous drivers come late because my pickup time was earlier than they were supposed to have started. That needs to be changed. There's a lot of drivers that I do know, and I listen to their complaints and their comments and their praises as well. And I do agree that the gentleman that spoke on the DLUs, they need to go straight home, because I've been on a bus where a DLU that was taller than I, because I'm pretty tall for a woman, and the driver was shorter than me. And the DLU was threatening to hit me, and I couldn't see. And the driver got out of his seat and said, "You're not going to hit my passenger." And he had him chase him up the street before he was wrangled to go somewhere else by somebody else, and to keep other passengers safe on the bus as well. And I know that this person was not given his medication because the parents had shown up and taken him away, and they admitted that he did not have his medication. That saying that I think DLUs should be taken straight home. That way it avoids the problems. The other thing I want to speak about real fast is Sandy Neely was in charge of the drivers, and he did a wonderful job. And he should please reconsider his coming back to be hired. I'm not saying that Brenda Jones is not a great person, because she is, and she has her hands full, but I also think that Sandy Neely would benefit from this company because Brenda unfortunately can't listen to all of our complaints, and she does.
Thank you. Shelley?
I just want to say one more thing.
Yes. Go ahead.
Brenda Jones is great. Nate is a great person. I feel that everybody that works with paratransit is great. And I really, truly hope that you guys extend Tango service as well from 22 rides to unlimited. Because I don't have a problem paying for extra rides.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Havender Davis. You need to move over to the, it would be your right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Evander Davis. I know you guys have heard a lot from everybody today, and I just know that we, as riders, we deserve to get to our appointments on time, and we deserve to be at work on time, and we deserve to be respected. And I employ this commission to do the things that they need to do to help us to have better service, to help the drivers have better employment, and to just make this system better than it already is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carol Winslow. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Carol Winslow, and I've been a paratransit driver since 2006. And my concern is, I have a couple. My concern is, first of all, is the COVID. In July the 16th, I transported a client, and more than me, transported this client that was tested positive. And we were called into the yard, and that was the next week. It was a week after that we found out that the lady was tested positive. Now, they put us in quarantine on a Thursday evening. The next morning, about 10 o'clock, I get an email, and it says that I'm to return to work. If I'm in quarantine, how am I to return to work on my next scheduled day, which would have been that Monday? Since I was exposed to since I was around someone, I'm vaccinated. So, and I got vaccinated because of my family. But at the same time, how can you be in quarantine and then you get an email saying for you to come back to work? I know we're short of drivers, but then I wasn't going to come back until I took my COVID test. My COVID test was scheduled for that Sunday. When I got it back and it was negative, then I sent the email back showing that it was negative. But my concern is, the work that we do, we can't ask anybody, what's wrong with you. They have a sign saying if you test positive, do not board this bus, but we know better. So, and then my next concern is, I know we're short of drivers, and we are being overworked, underworked, you name it. And we can't perform, just like the young man earlier. You can't perform and then so overtired. We have, a lot of us have issues where you have to put in to be off on your day off, and then you get denied. I know it's not our fault because they're short of drivers. But then if you go out there and get an accident, that is your license, that's your job, and they don't care. That's it, they don't care. So to me, it should be like the young man said, it should be rotated. But then don't call me every Sunday to work on a Monday when my day's off. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I don't mind coming in some Mondays, but not every Monday. That's my concern.
Thank you very much. Yvonne Wesley?
Good morning, good morning. My name is Yvonne Wesley, and I'm with Paratransit as well. And I'm going to read off what the concerns that I have, because I know I won't be able to get to everything the way I want to. So first of all, it was COVID, just like Carol mentioned, when I had it in January, February, and I haven't never got paid for it. You know, I had a union rep to represent me or whatever, but I have heard no word from the union or whatever. But that's one of them. Then overwork, which everybody is talking about. So I guess you guys can see that we are overworked. Shift bid. It defeats the purpose of having a shift bid if you're going to put us where you want us at. You're going to work us consistently. Restrooms. We're out there doing all this work. Restroom, there's nowhere, lots of places won't let us use the restroom. We're RTC. We're employees. I can see if we were a transit out there on the street that they won't let us go in. But we have badges on. We need to go to the ladies' room. That's a, bladder. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has that. Also, I have a suggestion, but I'm going to keep on going. PTO time. I have like so many hours accumulated of PTO time. Every time I put in for PTO time, I am denied. Denied. I feel like I'm in prison. That they denied. You know what I'm saying? And then the door-to-door service, that Tony mentioned that. The miles per day. I drove like 208 miles per day, ended up in Boulder City, almost out of gas. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how that happens, but I figured that we maybe should drive like 170 miles or something like that and return back to the yard, because we will be out of fuel or whatever, and I don't want to be stuck out there in the heat. Also, the lunch hours, over 6 hours. That's a long time from starting work and not to have lunch. You know what I'm saying? You have to go to the restroom. You can't get to the restroom. I go 5 and 6 hours without using the ladies' room. That's unacceptable for me. And as far as Tony, what else he was saying about the DNLUs left on a bus. Some people live inside of the complex where it says door-to-door service. They can't move. They can't roll their chairs. I have a DNLU on the bus, but I have to get this other person. So what do? Lock the person inside the bus until I go get it, or take the DNLU with me. You know, sometimes you can have 2 and 3 DNLUs. It's just really unacceptable. And I hope that everything that some of the things that I've said that will be looked at. I would really appreciate, let me see, there's the rest of them. Oh, I have a suggestion, if I can add that. Suggestion for the off days. You have so many people working. At least we get like 4 off days per month. Unacceptable once again. I suggest that if you do half of the crew, let's do them 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Let us get 2 weeks. At least we can get 2 sets of off days per month. At least. We need that time. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the last of my cards. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? If so, please come forward. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Don Johnson. I'm the Vice President and General Manager for MV Transportation. We operate the fixed route residential service. I wanted to thank the board, thank MJ, Francis, Angela. As you all know, we have a tremendous shortage of operators for the systems. But with their help, we have been utilizing the MV with the RTC with the website. Now we are able to recruit drivers on the bus stop shelters, we're able to recruit, and tear outs for the vehicles. And it is helping. It is helping with the numbers. On top of that, we're also doing billboard advertisement. We're doing radio advertisement. The numbers are starting to come in for the drivers now. We're starting to see applicants come in. So I do believe there's relief on the line coming, but there's a tremendous amount of men and women that drive and put in all the extra hours, as you've heard that today. I appreciate all their work they do for us, and I'm sure for the paratransit, and without them, the service won't run. But thank you all, and thank you for all your support.
Thank you. Next. Please come forward. State your name for the record.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Enroth. I work for MV Transportation. A couple of the issues I had going on I've already mentioned, but they're true while we're going on. One with scheduling. As we're being forced, I've noticed even before the pandemic, we've had this problem with scheduling and dispatching going very badly to where we're being scheduled before we even start by 20, 30, 40 minutes. to where we're leaving passengers, we're getting to them an hour late because we would have to go another 20 or 30 minutes to get them around the city, then pick up 3 or 4 other people, to where we're just having people on these buses for too long going for dialysis and other things. Along with scheduling, they overload us so badly at times going across the valley back and forth that by the time we're getting to lunch, we're already getting into our second set of pickups after lunch, to where I'm going to lunch at the time I'm supposed to be picking somebody up. And I get to somebody 40 minutes late because I've got to travel another 30 or 40 minutes across city, and they're stating, oh, I called to find out why you're late, and they just said there was a problem with the bus, that they had an issue with the passenger before you, and they don't want us telling the truth to say, hey, there was a problem, I was at lunch. The other issue I was talking about is they've got a new system on the bus called the Ranger, where there's a texting system going through where everybody from RTC or the company can see everything that goes through and what we're typing. If we type up problems or things that we don't think are correct or right on these systems, we're being told by our supervisors, hey, you're not supposed to be telling or typing this stuff in or letting anybody know what it is. So they're basically hiding it from other people, because if RTC can see this stuff, but they don't want us putting in a lot of the information of the problems that are going in on a daily basis, then that says there's something wrong to me, where they're hiding things. Just about everything else I was going to be saying, a lot of others have gone through and mentioned, but those were 2 or 3 of the points that I wanted to get across. It just seems like there's a lot of hiding what's going on, and they want to keep closed ranks, and I think they're overworking people. They're treating people more like cattle than employees. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair March, we have a couple of comments in the back, if that's okay if we take those.
Okay, let's take this one, and then we'll take those in the back. Thank
Okay.
you. Go ahead.
My name is Ed Euling. I apologize, first of all, to the people that are here that want to talk about their personal issues, but I'm on my way to a funeral in Salt Lake, and I want to get going. Anyway, I wanted to talk about I-11. I got involved in the hearings that are being held about that, and I'm very concerned about the statistics that are being used as a basis for determining what the route should be. I-11 is the most important highway project in the next 20 years, 50 years here in the United States. It is the road between Mexico and Central America to China, and through the ports of Seattle and Vancouver. And it will take traffic congestion off the I-5 and off the I-15. And it could lead to the development of our state, which right now depends on 500 square miles here in southern Nevada. The state has 120,000 square miles, and the entire economy depends on the 500 square miles in this valley. And this freeway is being led right into the center, into the main intersections of our city, with an estimate of 300 trucks a day. If that highway only carries 300 trucks a day, it would take a week to fill one ship. That's crazy. This highway is going to have 10 or 20,000 trucks a day when it is finished. And to think that it's going to have 300, it's going to increase 1.5% a year for the next 20 years is absolutely crazy. We have to plan for 20,000 trucks, and this route should take off from the 95 in Temple Bar and go across a bridge over the Boulder Canyon between the two basins of Lake Mead, and then go up to the 93, and then the 93 can take it up through Nevada or go over to Tonopah or whatever has to happen after that. But the traffic has to be kept out. All these trucks have to be kept out of our valley. And And an additional factor is they said that we asked for that. We wanted these trucks, we wanted this traffic here at the hearing that I went to the other day. I just can't believe that. And if any of you can tell me who ever invited that, I'd like to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you,
Euling.
Deb.
We'll go ahead and take the folks in the back right now.
Hi, my name's Marcus Olich. I'm a paratransit passenger. And just this Sunday, me and my fiance were on a bus for 2 hours, and we shouldn't have to go through that. I have a job and I have a responsibility at my church. I made the bus for 8:16. I'm a greeter at the door, and I need to be there on time. So the time that we spend on that bus, it shouldn't be 2 hours, and we shouldn't be subject to other pickups. I know it's a shared ride, but we have responsibilities too. And I also I'm representing progressive choices here at the meeting. We have a policy that we have to be dropped off in front of the door. Some of the drivers, they don't follow that. We have anywhere from 60 to 70 clients a day. And I gotta think about their safety as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's one more back there? Okay.
Good morning, Chair March. Raymond Fletcher for the record. My comments aren't about transportation per se. They're about the people that work in transportation. A week ago, while working for one of the providers here in Las Vegas, my home got broken into and my little buddy Hercules got out. I was not aware the amount of people in our community, in your organization, your providers, Keolis, MV, RTC, so many people that I was surprised this morning came up and said, I'm glad you got Hercules back. We were looking. So many people, the pride that I have in my heart, it makes me want to cry because I didn't realize that a community can love so much. A lot of people look at it as it's just a dog, but it's my little homie. And for 4 long days, and to have your home being violated like that while you're working, while you're trying to provide for yourself. And they say those of us with disabilities, we don't or we can't do much. We just heard from the other gentleman a moment ago about him working, that pride you have from working. We could easily sit there and put our hands out, say, gimme, gimme, gimme. Where's my government funding? No, we work for and earn, and that pride for earning that dollar. So I had it in my heart today because, I haven't spoken in a while. It was weighed on me that I had to share with you, Madam Chairwoman, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I'm sorry, I'm going to put one person on the spot. MJ, as soon as she heard, and then so many people, I've heard from MJ, I heard from MJ. So what I want to say to you, ma'am, is as you guys go back to your communities and you serve on your city boards and whatnot, we need affordable and accessible housing. My home was violated, like I said. I've been paying the same amount of rent for the past 6 years. The cheapest I can find is $1,800 now. It is ridiculous. I don't feel safe. I have panic attacks now. Any single noise, I'm jumping at. You know, what did I do to deserve this? Are they going to come back? Why me? So please, as you go about your lives, think about your community. We want to stay here. We want to live in affordable and safe housing. And we want to continue to utilize RTC and all the other programs you have here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else in the back? One more in the back? And then we'll go back to the.
Hi, my name is Steven Pastroni. I've been a paratransit rider for about 3 years. I've been a paratransit rider for about 3 years, and I really enjoy this service. This service is great. Yeah, I've done like so many things, and it's because of this service. But
Could you put the microphone closer to your mouth?
oh yeah,
Thank you.
sorry. But in the past, like I don't know, month and a half, it has been so horrible. It has been crazy horrible. So there was 3 days in a row that happened, and I'm not gonna explain the whole story because it's gonna take longer than the 3 minutes. But a representative from MD, after I explained this whole scenario to him, they told me that 2 out of 3 of those days where I didn't have grounds for a complaint, but oh man, so I came here today to find out who I can speak to actually get somewhere, because when I complained to MB, I got nowhere, absolutely nowhere. So I don't know what to do, but this is my first time, and so I'm more here to like listen.
Thank you very much. And there's plenty of staff here to talk to.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you. Is that it in the back? Ma'am, if you want to come forward, thank you. State your name for the record.
My name is Vanessa Davis. I'm a driver for MV. My thing is, I just try to wonder, where does the drivers matter with the forcing? I mean, a lot of us have housing situations where our income has to be in a certain range. Our rent could either go up or we can get put out because we're making too much or whatever. And it's like we're being forced without a choice. So it's like putting us in a situation to where we could get put out. But then if I get put out, is MV going to help me find somewhere to stay or take care of my kids or whatever? And it doesn't matter, well, people that I've spoken with, and I told him, I mean, my sister passed away. I wasn't able to see her because I was forced. I was trying to get custody of my niece and nephew. Couldn't do that, couldn't take the classes, have to do them all over again because I've been forced. They tell you to let someone know the situation, bring proof, and then we can work on it. It doesn't matter. You know, they're still going to force you. I have to start all over with everything. I wasn't able to see my sister before she passed. You know, so again, where do we matter? You know, we were hired, whether it be full-time, part-time. We give that. Now you want majority of our off time. We're only getting 1 day off. You know, we can't even handle our own business. We're too tired to do anything. We have to take a point just to take our kids to the doctor, just to do what we have to do. And I don't think that's right. We shouldn't have to get a point on our off day to handle our business, because y'all have all of our time, you know? And one last thing, with the forcing, like I said, y'all have majority of our time or whatever. I think we should have a choice. You know, I mean, for instance, I work 10 hours, so I work 11 hours a day, you know. I'm supposed to have 3 off days. I feel we should be able to have the 2 off days, and then if we want to work that 3rd day, we should have a choice. We shouldn't be forced continuously back to back. 8 months, that's ridiculous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, please. Please
Good
state your
morning.
name.
I hope you're all doing well.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Paul Alba. I have over 23 years experience as a paratransit driver, including over 14 here in Las Vegas. And with what little time I have to speak, I want to share what I think would contribute towards making, especially the jumpstart of our day as drivers, more efficient. And therefore, if we can get out at the gate on time, it will improve our chances of our day flowing on schedule, and therefore carry over to helping us to run on time for our passengers. So here's just several details. I hope you make note of them. Excuse me, and that you'll try to make these modifications so that we can run more efficiently and have better starts to our day. Okay, one is, and I personally experience this, is the vehicles. I don't know who evaluates the vehicles, but it seems like whoever approves of each successive series of vehicles, be it the 19 and then the 20s and so on into the future, I hope that because I think it's disgraceful that we have vehicles with only a few thousand miles, including the newest series, the 20s, where the mirrors shake like a leaf on a tree. And you don't even, you don't even know this until you leave the yard after you start picking up speed out on the streets. These mirrors should not be shaking, because without those mirrors in a steady position, we don't have good depth perception, and that can create a safety issue. We might have to come back to the yard and so forth. The other thing is check engine lights. We've been delayed leaving the yard due to check engine lights, and I've spoken to several mechanics. I'm not going to name names. Good mechanics, great mechanics with many years of experience. And the problem, as explained to me, is they put the computer under the hood, and there's excessive amounts of heat there, which cause the check engine lights to go on prematurely, abnormally, when there's really not anything wrong with the buses. But the vehicles that have the check engine lights mounted back more in the middle of the bus have like 95% less chance of going on. And we can't leave the,
Thank you.
we
And if
can't
you want to
leave the
provide
yard
your
until
comments to our staff, Angela, maybe you could take his comments and we'll include it in the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just one last thing. As far as the air conditioning, the air conditioners inside the bus, that in the 16 and 17, this will eliminate your air conditioning problem for all of our passengers.
Thank you.
The rear AC in the 16 and 1700s work beautifully. The newer ones, with the ones that are blowing down, are very lame, very weak. So
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thanks.
State your name for the record.
Good morning, Chair and Board. My name is Ursula Thornton, and I just got a couple concerns. The first concern is the picking up the customers late, leaving the yard late. The second concern is dropping them off late when it comes down to dialysis. I feel sorry for our dialysis customers because when we drop them off late after dialysis, they are sick. They need to lay down, they need to go home, and we're driving them around for almost 3 hours, and sometimes we're passing their homes. The other concern is social distance. I had 2 wheelchairs, 3 walkers, and 3 customers. There's no social distance. The other concern is mask wearing. Some of the customers will not wear a mask, and I will say this, and I have said it several times, a sneeze is deadlier than a cough, because your sneeze, it travels. The other concern is my health. I put in for surgery. I had a surgery in April on kidney stones. Kidney stones is due to not using the restroom, drinking water and not drinking enough water, and not using the restroom. When we're out there driving, we can't go use the restroom. Some people will not let us come in there, no matter if we got RTC on our forehead. They will not let us come in there to use the restroom. So we're driving around holding our urine. That makes our health worse. I have a 9mm stone in my left kidney, and I had to have surgery, and I had to go through loops to get this approved. They didn't want to give me my PTO. They didn't want to give me my vacation. I had to go to someone in our office, in H&R, who treated me with respect like I was a human being in order to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairwoman and fellow Commission members. My name is Nate Peterson, and I'm the General Manager for MV Transportation, delivering paratransit services for the RTC. And I have the great pleasure of working with MJ and her staff, Francis, Antoinette, and Dan, and a wonderful group of employees, some of you have met today, that do an absolutely incredible job in very, very difficult times. You know, this last year and a half, we've seen on our side, the fixed route side, and around the country, unprecedented issues facing the transportation industry. And probably to me, the most difficult thing is our ability to get drivers hired. I've never seen it. I talk to people around the country. It's just phenomenal. And as dire as it looks, on our side, we're actually making headway. I mean, we have 86 people right now in the pipeline in some sort of vetting qualification process. We have 8 new drivers on the road today. We graduated them yesterday, had a little celebration with them. We've got a class of 13 starting today. And, you know, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. We're also working on some new software enhancements. The RTC has been very, very helpful in helping get the messaging out in terms of attracting employees. And if any of you know somebody who would be a wonderful paratransit driver, send them our way. We're looking for good folks. We've got ads on the back of the buses. There's ads out on bus stops now. There's billboards. There's, I think, a lot of attention on this issue to get drivers hired. And we're working with the union on a new innovative shift bid to help ease the load and even it out. I've heard a lot of issues on forcing. And the forcing, we have a labor agreement with the Teamsters that kind of dictates how the forcing happens. But we've got a new schedule we've been talking to them about, and we're hopeful that'll come to fruition on a new shift bid. And I want to thank, you know, you heard from some of our employees, and I'll probably miss some of their names, but Tony and Yvonne and Barbara, Barbara talked to you guys. She won the Silver Bus Award a couple months from you guys, and a whole host of others. Yvonne, or Leave is behind me. But I want to thank you for your time, and we are collectively in the Valley, I know with Don Johnson and Mark Perla and myself and the entire RTC staff, leaving no stones unturned in terms of trying to recruit employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Good morning, Board and Chair. Oh, boy. Maybe
Please
I'm
state
too
your
short.
name for the record.
My name is Leva Bell, and I work for MV Transportation.
Thank you.
I'd like to say I miss you guys. I miss you from the focus groups. I believe if we start those focus groups again, some of these issues can be dealt with because we are dealing with the full panel of RTC on a different level. So I'd love to see that come back because I made sure I was at every one. You can only imagine the complaints we hear and we get from drivers as a union person. The other thing is, I would never, ever, ever want to hear what I'm about to say again. I'm driving the bus and a client tells me that they tested positive, they call quality assurance. They gave my name, and they gave another driver's name. Why is the client telling me that they're positive and not my employer? I shouldn't have to go back and track why the other driver gets to be quarantined and not me. I have health issues. I've been quarantined one time through this whole entire thing. So I would never, ever, ever want somebody else to feel like I feel. Had I been sick, I don't believe I would have gotten quarantined and paid for being sick, even though it was that client that gave my name. This is not like some heard of case. It's real. So that never settled with me. The last and final thing is driver fatigue. I'm probably not supposed to say this, but I struggle every day that I'm out there. Do you think that I feel better when you force me as a nighttime driver? Driving at night already is an issue. So definitely when it's time to get off, you feel like I'm about to be relieved. Oh, but no, we have one more stop for you. One more stop. I know the laws, I know the rules as far as working 4 to 6 hours. You shouldn't be working past 6 hours. And when you tell dispatch, that turns into an argument. Partly because I won't stand for it, so I kind of hold my ground on it, but I shouldn't have to. No driver should have to. It shouldn't turn to a grievance. It shouldn't be at this setting. So please bring back the forums.
Thank you.
And TransDev did that town hall, and we seem to get results from companies when we have town hall meetings, where the drivers can actually have the forum to express their concerns, and then the staffing or administration can have their meetings and say, yeah, we could work on this, from the smallest to the largest. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Morning, Chairwoman and the board. Thank you for having us this morning. My name is Maya Riddick, and I'm a paratransit driver for the last 3 years. I started this job when I had freshly turned 22. I'm still pretty young myself. And I started this job with a different company and absolutely loved it. I love being able to help people. I love being able to be a part of a company that I had to take when I was younger. Paratransit was taking me to school when I had medical issues when I was much younger. To see now the treatment that is given to our clients when I used to be a client, it's absolutely heartbreaking. I have seen our clients being late to things like chemotherapy, dialysis, going to work and getting marked down for work. If we go to work and we're late, we get marked down as well. They also have their responsibilities that we are trying to accommodate to, and there's no way. I understand there's a shortage of drivers and there's the rides are going back up, but we have the same amount of drivers that we had when I got hired in 3 years ago. So, and it was working fine. We need to bring the split shift back. Split shift was working well for us. It was helping us get the people who are the DNOUs, do not leave on attendance, to their houses without having to pick up other people and stuff. We need to bring that back. That was helpful for everyone. We need to be able to rotate who's getting forced, okay? I have not had more than 4 days off a month, other than having a surgery, which I got forced on the day of my surgery. Luckily was able to work it out with our director for scheduling and stuff, but it was still stressful. I woke up crying from a 5-hour surgery. They had to sedate me and keep me in the hospital overnight because I was like, do I have a job? We are over here trying. I like my job. A lot of the drivers I know, we care about our job. We care about the people who are coming on and off of our buses. We want them to be able to continue that. We're over here running late for the patients for dialysis. All of a sudden next week, I'm going to pick up that person, and I've heard now that they passed. I don't know if they passed because we were 2 hours late getting them to dialysis. It is so heartbreaking not being able to go to our family's funerals. We've been able to get the grievances, but it's just, we're over here stressing about work more than we're stressing about going and being with our families, going and being with our loved ones who have passed. And so All I'm saying is we need to fix this. This is not okay. We need to be able to get everybody on board and fix these rides. I don't know what needs to be done because I'm just over here working. I got work in an hour. I'm over here just working, trying my best, but we need to fix whatever's going on right now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
And good morning, Chairwoman March and members of the commission. My name is Mark Perla. I'm the general manager for Keolis, running the fixed route portion of the fixed route service for Las Vegas. I'm here just to say thank you right now. I want to thank the board. I want to thank MJ, Francis, and Angela for your leadership. The operator shortage is certainly not immune to Keolis as well. We are suffering with a staff shortage, and RTC and the board really showed some true leadership and innovation by allowing us to help advertise on the buses, bring more people in, more candidates to our group. So I wanted to thank you for that, because this is a nationwide challenge, and it certainly is a Las Vegas challenge as well, as we heard today. Keolis, much like MV is doing, we're leaving no stone unturned. We've engaged the normal platforms to recruit and encourage new employees. We have a significant signing bonus. We have refer a friend bonuses. We're also looking at other creative things. We're coordinating with the LGBTQ community as well as our military community to bring some individuals and new operators in. And we are going to work tirelessly to make sure that we are fully staffed. So a lot of the issues we heard today are resolved, because it's a lot of work for my employees. They've been working many hours. I absolutely support them and thank them for their hard effort. And we have a ways to go, but I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel, as mentioned. And I just want to thank you guys again for your help as well. It meant a lot to us, so thank you all.
Maybe just for the record, you could just share what the qualifications are for a driver?
CDL driver? Well, actually, if you need to obtain a permit as well as a CDL eventually. At Keolis, we can train you to do all that. You have to take the permit test, but we also have the ability to hire you and give you the CDL license, so we can test you on property. 21 years or older, there is a background check, but we do look at the background checks objectively to make sure that you do qualify. We look for good customer service, because this is a customer service business, but we can train anybody to drive a bus, and we can train anybody with good customer service habits to do it. So we are wide open and looking for anybody that wants to come and try a new challenge.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Cynthia Dattis. I'm a paratransit driver, and I'm not really a public speaker, but I feel obligated to come up here and say something that this forced 11 hours a day, 6 days a week is hurting us. And I know it's hurting me. It's hurting my family. I'm the only adult in my family. My family's being neglected. Everything's being neglected. But I'm providing everything for MV Transit. I love my job. I like helping people. But I'm not doing as though I should, because I'm so tired. And I want to be better and do everything, and I want to work harder, but something's got to change. And before all this, I would push for overtime myself. So you can go back and look. I would work a lot of overtime, but I wouldn't be forced on my days off. I would still have the downtime. And without that downtime, how are we supposed to rejuvenate and come back and like, let's go, let's do what we got to do, take care of everybody and be in full, So I just felt like I had to come up here and say something, and also the clients. My heart goes out to them. At this point, though, all I can do is say, I'm just a driver. I'm trying to get you from A to B safely. That's the best, and help them, of course. But, it's all I can do. So I just want to put my word out there as well, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and Board. How's everyone doing? My name is Ashley Dodson. I am the founder of Love Inc. and also Remedy Wellness and Resource Center. I appreciate you all. I have been donated a bus from the RTC before, and I am here because I am interested in offering additional transportation services. You all have always given us discounts when it comes to giving rides to our clients. Me being a social worker and a mental health advocate working with people with disabilities, hearing everybody here today, we want to extend more services, but also in addition to that, we need more buses. We have asked for some previously. Right now, again, we have one. We were on a waiting list for over 2 years, and we are interested in being able to provide more if we have that opportunity, which in turn will also be able to give us the opportunity to employ other people. I love to do training as far as compassion and empathy regarding mental health. That way we can address the driving situation on how to handle our clients and making sure that they are comfortable when dealing with their ride shares because it is very important for not only the clients but also the drivers to be protected as well. So again, my name is Ashley Dotson. I am with Love Inc. and Remedy Wellness and Resource Center. So if any help that we can be of assistance, I am truly open and available for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And we have one more gentleman.
Good morning. My name is Peter Glocheski. I've been a paratransit driver for 6 years now. I love my job and I love taking care of these people. The whole purpose of the RTC paratransit is to take care of the disabled mentally and physically. With my work, I have to apply for FMLA to take time off to tend to my wife who is disabled. But and over the 6 years, it never takes me more than a week or two for them to approve FMLA. It's approved through the doctors. They have to approve it first before they go to the company. They have been stalling with the FMLAs for a lot of our drivers. They're taking months and months and months and not processing the paperwork. So if we have to take time off to take care of our loved ones, we're getting occurrences which you get too many of them, you will get fired. So they're not letting us have time to take care of our own. That's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Are you coming forward? Okay. If there's anyone that wishes to speak, please get in line and that way we can.
My name is Annie Carmichael, and I just wonder why do it take 4 months to get a subscription when you already had one, and all you need to do is change your address and the location and the name of the place you have to go to. And also, why is it MTM clients get the worst schedules? 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30. I don't think that's right. That is too early to be somewhere at 7:30. That is my main concern. And someone needs to know how to schedule these drivers to go from place to place. You're on west side of town, your child is dropped off, supposed to be dropped off, but you had to go to Henderson and come back and drop him off. That doesn't make sense. That's my only concern.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, well, please come forward. Have you already spoken? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Ann Williams, and I'm an owner of an adult day program. This is so sad what I'm hearing today, and I'm witnessing it on a daily basis. The drivers, after listening to them today, this is so much bigger than I am. I have to get up extra early in the morning, open my program at 6 o'clock, so these drivers don't have to sit outside for 2 hours for these individuals to come in. It's not their fault. It's not the parents' fault. I can't see myself keeping my doors closed and not opening them until the time of operation, which is 7:30. That means that I'm being just as neglectful. The individuals got to go to the restroom. Some of them have to take medication. Some of them have seizures. And some of them just don't understand why they have to sit for 2 hours and it's not being explained to them why. That parent that just came up here, I have to be there for her because she has to go to work. So they're telling her she cannot get a ride until 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. So I have to open my doors to do my part to make sure that these individuals are okay and they are safe until this gets fixed. I'm going to my back door to answer my door. There's a client. There's no bus. Just a client standing there. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not daylight outside half the time, and they're left in the back of my facility. I've had individuals walk around to the front of my facility, and I'm wondering, where did they come from? They got dropped off at the back of the building because the individuals takes a walk, daily walks around the perimeter of the building. They're familiar with it. So they knew to walk to the front of the building. So now I got staff, I'm paying staff extra to come in, wait at the front of the building. I wait at the back of the building to ensure these individuals get in safe. I've never seen nothing like this. Now, when it was TransDev, we had Sandy Neely. No matter what the problem was, he fixed it. No matter what we were going through, he made sure these individuals were okay. He would come to the building himself personally. He would pick up individuals, make sure they got home. I'm not getting none of that. What I'm getting is, I understand these drivers. I'm not frustrated with the drivers. They're doing the best they can. So when they get to my facility and they're frustrated, today, just happened today, a driver dropped the individual off at my facility at 6:30. He was just sitting there. But we have cameras, so I go to check the door. And the driver was, just 1 second and I'm gonna be done. I asked the driver, I said, can you open your doors? He said, you're gonna take them? Yes, we're gonna take them. You don't have to sit there. We let them in until this gets fixed. So anytime you pull up, we are here. So I just want you to know, this is very, very serious. I'm so afraid that an individual is gonna get left out in the back of that building and something is gonna happen before we get to them. So please take heed to everything everybody said today because it's true. I witness it every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, seeing no one, will go ahead and close the public comment. Oh, then whoever needs to speak, please get in line down here so we can, or we could bring a microphone to you. Pardon me? We could bring him a microphone.
Yes, my name is Paul Glocheski, and as you can tell, one of the main issues is being forced on our days off. There are a lot of drivers out there. We're trying our very best to take care of everybody, but at the same time, you got to remember and keep in mind your minds, okay, especially. What's going to happen and how are you going to feel when one of our tired drivers kills one of your family members in a car accident? How do you think your families are going to feel when one of our tired drivers kills one of you? What do you think your kids are going to say? How do you think the public is going to feel when a public transportation bus that is supposed to take care of people with handicap and other issues kills somebody? It's happened. It's happened recently. And it's going to happen again and again and again, unless this is taken care of. The first days off for the drivers to decompress from an extremely stressful situation, being out there every day doing 200 miles. How many people here have driven 200 miles in a day in the city? It's rough. It's stressful. You're dealing with people cutting you off. You're dealing with people who are extremely rude. You're dealing with people who are literally violent towards you, slamming on their brakes, trying to get you to hit them. And you're trying to get people from one point to another point safely. That's, in reality, that's really our main job, is to getting people to one place, from one place to another, without them getting injured or killed. But when you have drivers who are actually literally physically getting sick because they are so stressed and so tired. I just talked to a driver the other day that was having heart problems because he'd been forced 6 days a week, not just 1 day off, but 2 days off in a row for months, and ended up being out for 3 weeks because of it. There's a bad issue here, and a really, really big problem that needs to be taken care of, and it needs to be taken care of quickly. And it could have been taken care of had the company brought back all the drivers who were on layoff when they were supposed to, which was June. They waited until after December to do it. They could have brought us back gradually, so where they knew that they needed to hire more people in advance. They didn't do that. They waited to the very last second when everything was going to collapse and we were going to drown in a sea of people who need rides to where now they have to force us continually, every single week. And I'm not talking just the low drivers, I'm talking the people with very high seniority.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Go ahead, and then we do have 4 written comments that need to be read.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Patricia Dennis. There's 2 issues I wanted to address. The FMLA, I wanted to second that. We were told that it takes 4 to 6 weeks once we ask to get the papers to give to our doctor. It takes 4 to 6 weeks for us to get those papers. After 6 weeks, I hadn't heard anything, so I tried to contact HR. After 3 weeks of continually leaving messages for HR, I was finally told, oh, corporate lost it, please submit it again. And now they're saying, oh, it's going to take longer for us to, just to see if you qualify for us to give you the papers. And then I only have 2 weeks to give them to my doctor and, get it back. But, so they're going to take, I have an FMLA issue that I have to deal with, and they're just stalling, frustrating. The second thing is about the buses being full. I have this one client that I take weekly. She's nonverbal, she doesn't see very well, and I always pick her up from Opportunity Village with a whole busload of people that she's familiar with. I mean, it's frustrating for her. She's normally dropped off like 3rd or 4th, but there's been a couple of times where I pick her up, like I said, with 4 or 5 other clients on the bus. We go drop off a few, and then go pick up 2 or 3 more clients, and then she has couple more stops. She doesn't understand this. She's hit me twice because she gets so upset because she doesn't know when she's going to be able to get home. The full buses, this program is for her, but we're literally putting her in the worst situation possible with the full buses. And also with the not wearing the masks, I worry every day. We don't know who has COVID. We don't know. If I had one client that was just coughing, wouldn't keep his mask on, and he was a DNLU, and I drove him around for 2 hours with him coughing just a few feet from me, and there's no guarantee that if he gets sick that they'll contact me and let me have the time off, or if I were to get sick, I would get occurrences, and it could have been from him. And I don't have any faith in this company that they would let me know.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We do have 4 written comments to be read into the record.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Maren Dubois for the record. Our first public comment is from Ms. Stephanie Versnick. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Stephanie Versnick. I am testifying before you for the 43rd time. I testified for over 3.5 years asking to expand the service area. As of August 8th, I am now in the service area. That Sunday was the first day my son was brought home from Nellis Air Force Base to the front door. This was such a huge step for my son. He feels independent and enjoys being able to come straight home as opposed to getting dropped off at a nearby location and waiting for me to pick him up and bring him home. Since this pandemic started, my son has not had many good things happen to him. This certainly was a positive in his book. My son's life is fuller and more meaningful. He can get to work and get home on his own. Transportation improves the quality of life for many people. Access to transportation allows people with disabilities important opportunities in education, employment, healthcare, housing, and participation in their community, which helps to facilitate social relationships in life. My appreciation to the RTC staff and commissioners for expanding the service area. We still have a lot of work to do. Many more people still don't have access to transportation. As a member of this community, I would like this board to begin working on a plan to give more people access to transportation. In closing, I would like to touch on an email that I received from General Counsel addressing my questions that I had in my last testimony about Nevada Open Meeting Law, NOML. I was informed that reading a testimony out loud is not in the NOML, and it is not a requirement but a courtesy to read public comment testimonies out loud. I would just like to say, as I've said last month, our lives are different today than they were before the pandemic. We don't shop, travel, or even work like we used to. In my opinion, I feel that the RTC commissioners needs to change the way things were done in the past. This is a new, different way of life that we are all still trying to get used to, and I feel that anyone who takes the time to write a public comment deserves to have it read out loud before it goes into the record. It's really not asking a lot. It doesn't cost anything, just a few minutes and a little bit of respect. In the world we live in today, a bit of common courtesy and respect can go a long way. Next is from Ms. Robin Kincaid. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Robin Kincaid, and I'm speaking today as a parent of a young adult with disabilities that is also a paratransit customer. My daughter Kayla lives in the service area and frequently uses paratransit services. We have always lived in the service area, but that does not help her gain access to essential services because there are still areas that do not have current service. She still does not have access to her church in Summerlin that we have been members of for over 25 years. We appreciate the efforts being made to correct some of the inlets and reconfigure the service area. We are looking forward to seeing this implemented and are hopeful that this is the first step toward helping persons with disabilities access essential services. I have concerns regarding the website page that describes the service area. It states, RTC recommends that paratransit customers call before you move to ensure all pickup and drop-off locations are within the paratransit service area in order to continue to receive paratransit service. Customers should call or check online before moving to a new apartment or home that is potentially outside of the service area, switching to a new doctor or medical facility that is potentially outside of the service area, making career changes where the worksite is potentially outside of the service area. End of the quote. My concern is that many times persons with disabilities have no control if they're changing medical needs and they must see a doctor or receive therapy outside the service area. Persons with disabilities also cannot change their employer's decision to seek rent in an area that is not serviced by paratransit. These types of restrictions are a significant burden and generally affect the quality of life. I am also asking that you revisit the public comment process and implement a call-in process and continue to take public comments that are read into the record up to the time of the meeting. I am submitting this public comment the day before the meeting because of the arbitrary 5 p.m. cutoff time frame. Due to the high COVID-19 infection for persons who live in southern Nevada and the possibility of contracting the Delta variant, it is still not safe to physically attend these meetings. The hospitalizations here in Nevada confirm that we are still in a pandemic, and it is important that each one of us protect ourselves as much as possible. It is always possible to just do the minimum, but if you want the public to provide input, please consider finding a variety of ways for the input to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Your third public comment, good morning. Good morning, Chair and Board. My name is Joan Him, and my concerns are, number one, I have been forced to work in my days off, and most of the time I get fatigued. Number two, I don't get my vacation days authorized together, and most of the time I am denied. Number three, the company should post the available week for vacations or vacation taken from other drivers like the past two companies. Number four, despite of we're running very late for pickups with medical purposes, dispatcher don't look at the real time for clients' appointments, and still they give inserts making it more late. Number five, no more open door policy like companies before. Impossible to reach scheduling department through calls, emails, or on a paper. Scheduling manager don't face drivers. He's hiding all the time. Your fourth public comment. Good morning, Chair and Board. My name is Jesus Chavara, Yolanda Lara, and Norma J. Palma. And my concerns are, number one, the pickups and the drop-offs are being late and clients complain to us all the time. The reasons for this, because the manifest pickups and drop-offs are too far apart. We have been late over the 25 minutes window and even an hour late. Number 2, they told us they have an open door policy, but the offices are locked all the time and nobody is available to talk to us, and when they do, they are very rude. The way they talk to us is not professional or ethical. Number 3, they short us in time to pre-trip and post-trip 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the afternoon. Number 4, when we ask for days off or vacations, they don't respond on time or at all. It's hard to plan vacations if you have to buy a plane ticket or plan a trip. That concludes your written public comment.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, I'll go ahead and close the public comment. MJ, I think we heard a lot of comment today that we need to be paying attention to, including staffing, but also medical leave and where we're leaving our clients. And these are conversations that we should be having with those that are providing the service. I'd like to suggest that on your next CEO report that we have a report out on that, but I know myself and I think Justin, we would be interested in meeting with the companies to talk about some of those solutions as well. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to comment? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.